we had talked some with Jared about this, Jeff, but, Iowa being a ranked team, being a top 15 team, obviously stands out when looking at your all schedule so far. From what you've been able to see on film, what about them really stands out to you?
Everything. They're old. They're experienced. They're very well coached. They play really well together. They have really good inside guys. Obviously, the two that start, Cook and Garza, but then guys off the bench. They have an experienced backcourt. The thing that it looks like, I didn't see them last year, but just looking at them, they've been a good defensive team this year. They've mixed their defenses up, and they've played well. To go up to New York in the Garden and to have the performances that they did against Oregon and UConn, that's very, very impressive. So they're a really good team.
What did you learn about your team in the St. Louis game?
I learned that we can beat a good opponent at a neutral place, being away from home. We showed toughness. We made tough plays, whether it was finally getting a rebound, stepping up and taking the charge, making free throws down the stretch, following a game plan. But even plays throughout, I thought City was by far his best game. I thought our post guys did some solid things in that game. I thought it was really good to see X respond to foul trouble and to be able to come back in and play, and for guys to have impact on the game without necessarily scoring. But again, the main thing is that we were able to beat a good team on a neutral court. That team had, for whatever it's worth, that team had just gone on the road and beaten Seton Hall, who just won the Wooden Classic, I think. And so it showed we could beat a good team on a neutral court.
So this game is Iowa's a different level because we have home game for that.
Yeah, it's home game, and it's also a top 15 team in the country. And so it's different on a lot of different levels. But we're excited about it. We're excited about the challenge. We're excited about being a part of the ACC Big Ten Challenge, and look forward to the opportunity that we have.
Jared was saying that, he's not really – he didn't seem that concerned about these freshmen going into a road game. He said, that they ask the right questions. They want to know what's going to be like, what they're going to need. How much of that did you have a good idea about those guys when you were recruiting them, or is that something you kind of figured out as it gone on, that their mindset is a bit different than a typical friend?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that because I'm concerned. So, it's great to be 18 to 22. You don't have concerns anymore. I'm concerned about every little thing. And so it will be interesting to see how they are in this environment. This will be a very different environment. In Brooklyn at the Barclays Center, look, there was no one there. And so, this will be a really good crowd. This will be a packed house. I played there as a freshman in college, and it was one of the toughest atmospheres. And they have an outstanding team now, so I'd imagine it's usually a really good crowd. But for this type of team, they haven't had this in a while, a top 15 team. I'd imagine it's going to be, a great crowd. And so it will be interesting how we respond, to that type of environment. Not just our freshmen, all of our guys. None of our guys have been in this type of environment in a while. And certainly this team hasn't been. So it'll be interesting to see how we are. So I'm very concerned about it.
I'm not going to pretend to know a whole lot about this new NET ranking system. I think it's through the NCAA officially, but it's kind of a topic on social media this morning. You guys are checking in at number 23 in the inaugural poll, I guess, released. Do you have any thoughts on that? Does that mean anything to you?
I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I have no clue what that is.
Well, you guys are ranked 23rd.
Yeah, I don't pay attention to rankings in November. I think they're all off. So we're just concentrating on this game right here on Iowa. That's it. There's a new poll.
Yeah, it's NET.
It basically replaced the RPI. It's like sort of computer.
Ohio State's number 1. So
yeah, that's all you got to say.
You are 15 ahead of Villanova, 38 ahead of Kentucky.
That's the reason why I don't pay attention to it.
Kind of building on Alan's question earlier, Jeff, one of the things Jared was saying about the freshmen is they're not really afraid to learn. They're not afraid to ask questions. I guess what are some of the examples of that you've seen from them? How has that kind of shown itself to you? had their sort of thirst for knowledge and their general curiosity.
Well, they want to be really good, but it's not just the freshmen. I think all of our guys do. And so it's not, for me, it's not just about them. I mean, they all want to be good. So they all have been inquisitive since I've gotten here. I can't speak before, but they've all asked questions. How do you get better? How do you handle this? All of them. The freshmen have played in different environments. When the AAU circuit now is very, very different, even from what it was 4 years ago, 3 years ago. It changes. And so you play, for Xavier, he played on one of the best AAU teams and in probably the best league. Trey played at Hargrave Military Academy, so they played in big-time games. Adis, on the Under Armour circuit, and his team was one of the better teams in North Carolina, and high school basketball there is like a religion. And so they've played in tough environments and big-time environments in front of packed houses, in front of things like that. They just hadn't done it on this level. And so, I think that certainly helps. They have some older guys on the team that have played on the collegiate level in some tough environments. They have a coaching staff that's done that, that's played in them and coached in them. And so they have been inquisitive. They want to know, but really that's all of our guys. They all have been really fun to coach.
Toward the end of that St. Louis game, you still had Xavier out there, but you went with more of an older lineup with City and Jared. Was that just a product of who was playing well that game, or was it, something in that close situation wanted to trust the older guys?
No, it was really a product of who was playing well. City was playing really, really well for us, and certainly felt like he needed to be out there. Jared's our best threat from the three-point range, and then defensively, we thought that was our best defensive group out on the floor as well. And then, again, we were playing well. We were playing the zone really well, and just decided to ride with them.
You mentioned your assistants briefly. How has sort of the staff, whether it's assignment of roles or how has the beginning of the season gone with you and your coaching staff, maybe compared to your expectations, or have you has it been smoothly, or has there been things you had to figure out as you go along?
Well, there are always things that you have to figure out, and we've had to do that. We have a great relationship, and we've known each other for a while. But when you're working together, they have to, the main thing is that they have to figure me out. Like, what do I like? What do I not like? What kind of, like before a game, how are you before a game? Like this last road trip, how are you on the bus before a game, heading to a game? Just different things like that on the road, so it's all different things. But I think, the relationship part of it has been great. And we have gotten to know each other in game situations and practice situations and preparation and things like that. I think our communication is really good. And I think I wouldn't say it surprised me, but it's all been really good.
Jeff, I see that Iowa has a conference game on Friday.
And who?
Iowa.
Okay.
And they start their conference. How close are you to unleashing your guys on the ACC? You have a whole month. But if you had to,
if we had to, you have to. But, we have a long way to go, and we're trying to get better every day. And so for me, it's hard for me to think about next month. I'm so worried about tomorrow and trying to make sure, have we done everything in our preparation to be ready to compete? That's my focus.
You had talked a couple of weeks ago, Jeff, about a commonality of all the great players that you've coached, where there's a desire to be coached hard. We had talked about the sort of inquisitive nature of the freshmen and really all your players earlier. How much is that also one of those common traits between the best guys you coach? That kind of thirst for knowledge.
Yeah, I think. That's the one common theme. They're all different. They may have a different skill set, a different position or whatever. But the thing is that they want to be really good. And really good players don't want to look bad. And so you want as much knowledge about an opponent or about a situation as you possibly can so you can be prepared. And I think that's the thing that's probably that all of them have in common, whether it's an NBA guy, a great college player or a great high school player that's coming in for his first year. They want to know as much as they possibly can. They want to know if they're not doing something right. They want to know how to do it right. They want to know how you want them to do it. At the same time, with a really outstanding talent, you want them to be instinctive. That's one of the main things. Really good players, one of the things that makes them good is that they're instinctive. And you want to give them the freedom to be that and understand, and giving them the freedom to be that there are going to be some mistakes sometimes. But you have to be willing to live with those because they have outstanding talent. And so, again, I've been fortunate, to be around some special talent and some really outstanding players. And they always, they understand they have to change. That's the other thing. The really good players understand they have to change because you can't stay the same. If you stay the same, you're not getting better. And those guys all have a thirst to get better and to every day to approach it that way. They're different. They're different. I mean, they really are. I used to think when I was younger, even when I played or when I first started coaching, you hear all these stories about the great player, about, I used to always hear this, Michael Jordan at the 5-star camp and all these different things. And I didn't understand it until I had one, until the first, I had Blake Griffin. And after I coached him and was around them, that's when I understood, look, these guys are different. There's a reason why other people don't do these things because they're not wired. These guys are wired differently. And, again, I've been fortunate to be around a lot of guys like that.